Last Stop was developed by Variable State Game Studio. Their previous game was 2016's Virginia. Last Stop is an episodic interactive game with supernatural elements in it. It has a very little gameplay and it's more of an interactive story that's divided in 20 little chapters. I have always liked these kind of games where you can interact with the story, but there isn't any kind of hardship. So, the game focuses on 4 character stories that in the end are combined in the last chapter. The first story is called Paper Dolls, and it focuses on John, Jack, and John's daughter Molly. They are neighbors that are familiar with each other over wrongly delivered mail. But on one day they are at the same time at the underground/metro station and something weird happens and their minds are swapped. So John and Jack are trying to find a way to reverse the mind swap. In the second story, called Domestic Affairs, we follow the story of high-level female agent called Mina. She used to be a badass, cruel and fearless, but family life has softened her a bit, and she is lost about who she wants to be. She is also having marital problems and is cheating on her husband. She is very distant with her son, and she also has a troubled father relation. Her part of the game is largely with these subjects. She tries to get a grip of her life. In the third story, called Stranger Danger, we have Donna, who is kind of troubled teenager with problems with her family, her sister and mother. So Donna is with her friends Vivek and Becky. I think they were doing drugs and vandalizing something. Then they start to follow a mysterious man who is claimed to bring people to his house, but no one never leaves. So they follow him to an abandoned swimming pool and they kidnap him and tie him up. And this weird man has sometimes green glowing eyes and seems to make people disappear in this plane and in memories. The stories. I found Paper Dolls to be the most interesting story of these. Then Domestic Affairs and lastly Stranger Danger. You slowly get to know the characters and in some point you want to know what happens next to these characters in the story. In Paper Dolls, John and Jack has a pleasant and kind of funny relation, but of course there are drama too. I really liked how calm these characters were and it was relaxing to follow their story. In Domestic Affairs, Mina's behavior was sometimes unpleasant to follow, but in the end I kinda sympathized with her. In Stranger Danger, I really didn't care what happens to the characters. I was only interested what the mystery man was. Graphics and sound. On this game, sometimes the graphics are a bit too simple, too polished looking and uninspiring, and then in some scenes they are fine and even gorgeous looking, but still sometimes it felt like playing a cheap 3D animation that was made for children, even if this wasn't made for children. The sound was very good and the dialogue crisp and clean. Voice acting. The voice acting was really good. It was kinda slow burning, but I still enjoyed the relaxing slow pacing. Gameplay. In this game, the gameplay was really simplified. You made the characters walk on the left thumbstick and sometimes there were some little quick time events. For example, if you had to run, you pushed left and right shoulder buttons in different order at a steady tempo. Or if you had to choose a dialogue, you would press a button. For example, A button, if you played an Xbox controller. Also, there were a timer in those dialogue situations. So most of the gameplay is choosing the wanted dialogue and watching the story. Conclusion. If you like these kind of games that has a lots of small chapters that change often and the stories continue little by little, A very little gameplay, but a decent story with the good voice acting and a little bit of mystery, then this might interest you. After completing the game, it was sad to say goodbye to John, Jack and Molly. And to me, that's a definition of a good writing if you miss characters after a game is over. The replayability is really small in this game. There are a few different endings, but I was satisfied what I got. So my final rating for the game is 3.5 out of 5. It was a good and relaxing experience, but the endings weren't that much of satisfactory. If you liked this review, hit the like button, maybe subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Okay, bye bye.